You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host, Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts, Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
You are listening to The Money Hour at 1150 AM KKNW, the Friday, September 25th virtual show. Because of COVID-19, our show is temporarily moved virtually. However, you can listen to us on podcast or on air on Saturday at 3 p.m. with a rebroadcast on Sunday at 8 a.m. I am your host, Tina Mitchell.
And I'm your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
We are here to build a strong financial blueprint 1 week and one show at a time. If you're hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. However, we are here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that we have on the show. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And in studio right now, we have Susan Ward of Real Living Northwest Realtors. We're going to be having a conversation about renting versus buying right here on 1150 AM KKNW. Susan, very excited to have you back on the show. And I'm really excited about the topic that we're going to discuss today. So thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
And a little bit about Susan. You're very welcome, Susan. A little bit about Susan and taking every measure to help her clients successfully accomplish their lifestyle goals. Susan Ward exhibits genuine care, dedication, and professionalism. As a lifestyle specialist in the Greater Eastside real estate market, she constantly provides her clients with outstanding guidance and expertise. Specializing in the marketing and sales of residential, distinctive luxury and investment properties, you may trust in Susan's expertise and accurate assessments in helping a client to find their dream home, sell their special residence, or make strategic investments. Susan is dedicated to providing her clients with a truly impressive real estate experience.
Susan, rent versus buying. I love this subject. I mean, even on our side of the business, we get this a lot. I talked about this last week. I talked about the market's supposed to grow 28.6% in the next 5 years. And if you bought at the median price of $628,000, you'd make $180,000 over the next 5 years. And then on the back end, there's companies that are telling you still to rent. And Tina alluded to them on her money chat of just kind of uninformed or kind of pushing an agenda type thing. And that's not our agenda here. We want to help people. So what do you tell people that come to you with this whole debate about buying a home versus renting?
So, yeah, and I just want you all to know that you're probably going to say, yeah, well, you're a real estate agent. So, of course, what are you going to say? But, you know, just like my ad, I always want to put people first. So the answer to this question all day long is if you have the ability to purchase a home, and especially in these amazing rates right now, you have to buy. You know, if you've got the money down and you've got the credit, you know, it's the best way to go. You cannot get a return on your dollar through the stock markets that you would with real estate. And I am a total example of the benefits of home ownership. And that's why I decided to choose this subject today, because I'm really passionate about this. And I'm very passionate about, as you know, first-time home buyers.
Susan, you are a dear friend and as well as a very close business partner. And I know your story, and I would love you to share a little bit about that with our listeners today, if you could.
Oh, absolutely. Now, and I hope that there's not too much information here. So I'm not good with boundaries sometimes, but you know, I used to be a renter 9 years ago. And so, and I got sick and tired of writing that check every month for $1,500 to my landlord. And then they were wanting to charge me money for my dogs, you know, $150 a month for my dogs. And on top of it, they were going to raise my rent to $1,600. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. Why is it I'm helping them pay for their property, their mortgage? I just can't do this anymore. Well, I did everything I could to buy a property, to buy a house. And honestly, I wanted to buy a house. And I had 2 dogs. Actually, I have 3 dogs. I had 3 dogs. So I wanted a house desperately. Well, I could not afford a house. and I tried everything I could. It was just not in the cards. So I had to really take heart or listen to my heart and just say, if I want to get into this home ownership, I'm going to have to downgrade my wishes. I ended up finding a little townhouse that had a little patio, and it was a perfect little scenario for me. And the dogs were happy. They had a little space outside. Well, so that was step number one. 2 years later, I sold that townhouse and I made $70,000. You could not possibly make that in the stock. And guess what? I was able to buy my first house. So fast forwarding now to 2020, this is my third home I've owned, and I've got well over $300,000 in equity in this home. So if you have the ability to buy, you absolutely must do it. This is just the best way of life, home ownership.
Yeah, definitely.
Susan, and I want to add to that, Susan, it's not like you're just jumping off a bridge, right? You have wonderful professionals like me and Tina who can come up with a custom mortgage solution. One of the first things I'm going to ask you is, where's your comfortable monthly payment for a home? Like, conservatively, the last thing we want you to do is to jump into a house and feel house broke. And we are famous. Yeah. We have an amazing, and Tina invented it, Mortgage Triangle software, amazing software that kicks out some incredible reports that people love, where they have specifically a plan that fits them. Then they're laser focused on the house that they get to buy without the fear that if they can or can't afford it. It's a huge step to make sure that you got your ducks in a row.
Totally.
What do you think as far as a person and what they should be looking at when they're making the decision about buying a home, Susan?
Well, there's a lot of great reasons people should really look at when they're considering whether they should buy or rent. And they really need to take each question to heart. So I do have 5 reasons why you should buy a home. So number 1 would be, creative license, right? So you can go into a house, you can take down, you can paint, you can put pictures up. If there's not a load-bearing wall, you can remove walls. You can do what you want with your house. You own it. This is your place. So that would be number 1. And number 2, of course, my favorite is probably the pets. I can have lizards and dogs and cats, and I can have even a chicken or 2 if I want. No one can tell me what I can have or cannot have. And a lot of people, when you're renting, number 1 thing, what do landlords say? You can't have dogs or you can't have pets. And it's really disheartening. There's not a lot of people out there. So that's a great reason to buy. Number 3, and by the way, I'm not a tax specialist. So these are questions really you want to go to an accountant about. However, I'm just giving you my experience. Okay. Tax benefits. So from what I'm aware, mortgage interest is still deductible. Property taxes are still deductible. And when you buy the house, there's closing costs, and a portion of the prepaids are still deductible. But check with your accountant, confirm with your accountant. I'm not an accountant. So those are all things and great reasons why you should buy a home. Oh, there's one more reason. No more rent increases. So that's a great reason.
And she does have a lizard. She's got a bearded dragon, Birdie, and Birdie is just the sweetest big lizard I've ever seen, and I love her. So Susan, let's talk about, those are really great 4 reasons. What would be the 5th reason that somebody should buy a home?
Oh yeah, there is a 5th reason, which is probably the biggest reason for a lot of people, which is the appreciation of your home, your equity, and don't forget, it's really a form of forced savings, right? Because when you're paying your mortgage every month, it's essentially making a deposit to your own savings. As you're investing in your home, you're paying down your principal while you're paying down your principal, and your appreciation is going up in value. And that's building equity. So it's a forced savings. So that is the fifth reason, and I guess I would say that's probably the best reason.
And that's how you have over $300,000 of equity in your home now.
That's right.
I love that. You're to spend money anyway.
Right.
What's that?
A couple more homes and I'll have no more mortgage.
There you go. I love that. Debt free. So let's talk about this, Susan. Some people might tell you that their rent is cheaper than a mortgage, and they don't have to do repairs on their home. Well, I just live there and I don't have to do anything. What do you tell those people?
Yeah, well, on the paper, I suppose it does look like it's cheaper. However, we really need to look at the numbers, the big picture, and again, so another disclaimer, I'm not a mortgage broker. These are going to be questions for Tina, right? So if somebody wants confirmation, they need to talk to Tina. But I'm, again, this is my experience, right? So let's say you are currently renting a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, right? So, and let's say you're paying $2,500. By the way, I'm a property manager, so these numbers are pretty good. They're pretty accurate. So let's pretend you want to look to buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, and it's a $400,000 house. Okay, so your initial cost to rent that house is going to be, the down payment of $2,500 times 2, so $5,000, versus buying, which, yes, you have to do your down payment, you have to do your closing costs. So let's pretend it's $96,000. Your monthly costs for the mortgage over 30 years would be $700, and I've got these numbers written down, so forgive me for looking down constantly. $769,502 would be your amount paid for your 30-year mortgage. But catch this. If you rent at $2,500 for 30 years, you're paying $1,233,241,000. So think about this. Your lost opportunity is $759,630 over 30 years. So that is really sad. Even if you did what I do and you sell your home 3 times and you have closing costs of $40,000, you still literally, you're still ahead. And literally your home ownership costs for 30 years would be averaged out to about $2,348 versus renting, which guess what that is? It turns out to be $5,535. So definitely renting is not the way to go.
Yeah, and Keelan talked about the rent versus buy he's going through with some of his clients right now, which is so powerful because, and what people don't think about as well is rents continue to go up. When you have a mortgage payment, if you're on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, your mortgage is fixed. Outside of taxes and insurance, taxes are going to go up when values go up. Taxes will go down when your value drops. So it's you have a fixed rate mortgage and a fixed payment where rents are continuing to go up. And then there's no payment end in sight. You just talked about you're really visualizing and seeing the reality that you're going to be mortgage free at some point in time. Whereas renters, they never can see that. Instead, they see in the future their rent's going to continue to go up. Talk about emotional stress attached to the roof that you have over your head for your family, your kids, and just a really unstable place to be in. So love that information, Susan. As we're wrapping up our time here, because we're getting to the end. So that's not counting your taxes and insurance, right? That's just principal and interest that you went over, or CITI?
That includes principal and insurance, maintenance, utilities, taxes.
Perfect.
I did it. I put it all in. I mean, I even pulled a number for maintenance, 5% towards maintenance.
Wow. Yeah, it's powerful when you look at, these numbers to really see. So as we're wrapping up our time here, Susan, just a shout out you'd like to give to our listeners.
Well, yeah, you've got to call Tina Mitchell.
or Keelan.
Or Keelan. So there's my shout out. I use Tina personally for my own mortgage. So I highly recommend her. That's the best referral you can get is someone that has experience with the mortgage broker, right?
Well, that's awesome. It's our show, and we invited you in as a guest, and you gave us a shout out. That shout out was supposed to be you, right back at you. If you're looking for an amazing realtor in our local market, that really does have passion, works so hard at what she does, puts so much attention and care into each one of her clients, call the show. We'll get you connected with Susan. Susan, thank you so much for being here today. It's a pleasure to spend this time with you.
You're welcome.
And coming up on Next on the Money Hour, care opportunities for seniors, TB Bodicon of A1 Senior Care Advisors right here at 1150 AM KKNW.